Hey everyone, my name is Nick. I'm a product manager at Shopify. We recently shipped the Horizon collection, which are 10 new free themes on the Shopify theme store. They're designed to give you maximum customization flexibility and our best buyer experience yet. I'm making a series of quick tutorials to show you how to make the most out of them. So if you're new to Shopify and you're starting to customize your theme for the first time, or if you're due for a little site redesign, feel free to check out our Shopify theme store, browse our free themes, and pick the one that best resonates with you and your brand. For this tutorial, I'll select Horizon. So prior to this, I've installed a fresh new copy of Horizon onto my store. So you can see what this looks like out of the box. So for this video, I'll go from top to bottom. So how to customize the layout of your header, your homepage, and then your footer. I don't really have a specific design in mind, but I've pulled up some sites that I really like Road and Pros here, and I'll pull inspiration from there as I'm sort of customizing my homepage. So back to Horizon, from the top here, let's first select the announcement bar. First thing is I'll change the copy here for something less generic. So I'll use this to promote my shipping policy. Great. So free shipping on orders over $50. And then if I wanted this to be a different color from the rest of my website here, I can go into the announcement bar section and change the color scheme. Let's make it green. Now let's move on to the header. Here, the main thing I'm going to want to do is add my logo here. So I'll select logo, edit logo in theme settings. There, I can select my logo. Great. It is a bit big, so I'll click on it. And then from there, I can change the size, desktop height here. I'll reduce this to maybe something like 20. Yeah, this looks great. And then mobile height. Let's see what this looks like right now on mobile. On mobile, it's a little small, so I can also try to make this 20 and see what that looks like. Yeah, that's better. Cool. All right, let's take a look at Road here. One thing I like about Road is that the logo is in the middle and it seems to have like a transparent background. So I'll try to recreate this in Horizon. So I'll select the header again. And I can see logo position left. Right now it's set to left. Let's set this to center. Great. And then if I scroll down here, I can see that there's a setting for transparent background. If I turn this on, what happens? Then I'm starting to get a look similar to Road. So that's great. Okay, awesome. So I see that my menu is already pre-connected to my main menu. I can always replace this. So if I selected another menu, you can see that this one has multiple levels of links, and it seems like it's displaying featured products for these collections. And this is related to this setting here, featured products. If I change this to say featured collections, then on hover of these, it will promote as a big call to action here and an image, the first collection in the list. I will stick to featured products because I kind of like this look. Let's see what this looks like on mobile. On mobile, there's a hamburger menu here. If I click it, then I have my featured products here and then my different links. There's also on mobile the ability to add accordions. So what that does is that it will sort of nest these links under a accordion here. I kind of like that. So I'll do this. And there's also the ability to add a navigation bar so that your main links are displayed front and center and not only accessible in the nested menu here. I'm not going to do that, but note that that's an option that's available. All right, so now let's move on to the main hero section here. So I'll want to reproduce this here with a background image and the text and the button left aligned at the bottom. So here, let me click that section. Great. I can add my own asset. That looks good. I feel like on Road, it's a bit taller, so I can change the height here from medium to large. And it seems like there's an overlay here that's a bit dark, so I can change this overlay color. Actually, I can change the opacity of that overlay like this. And then there's a different style of overlay. Either it's solid, so it's the entire height, or I can choose a gradient like this, going from the top or the bottom. I'll choose bottom here, that way my links are more legible at the top. Okay, next, let's put these things to the left. So one big concept to understand here is that when you want to align the items inside of a section, the settings to do this will be at the section level. So they won't be at the block level here. Rather, they'll be at the section level here. So if I select hero, I can see alignment. Right now it's set to center. If we move this to left, then I see my text and my buttons become left aligned. Then there's position. Right now it's set to bottom. If I set this to center, then it would go up to the center vertically. I'll keep this at the bottom. Great. And then for my button, I want this to say shop skincare. And then link this to my skincare collection. And then choose the primary button style. All right, this looks great. One thing I'd love to do is add another button here next to shop skincare for shop makeup. So let's try that. I can either hover on the sidebar here and below the button add another block, or I can do this via the preview itself. So if I click this, then I have a bunch of blocks that are available to add to the hero section. Up front, we're going to show you the blocks that we recommend you can add to the hero, but if you click show all, basically all theme blocks will be available here. I'm interested in buttons. I'll click button, and now I can change the label for shop makeup, link to my makeup collection, and there you go. Now, one thing I'd love to do is for these buttons to be side by side. The way to do this is by grouping them inside a group block. The reason for this is that at the section level, we've decided that items inside the section would be using a vertical direction, so they would stack. If you want everything to stack, but some of the items to actually go the opposite direction, so horizontal, what you need to do is add a group. So let's do this. I click add block. I can add the group block inside of it. And then for this group block, we're going to set it to horizontal. And then all we have to do is sort of copy these buttons inside that group. Copy, paste inside. So I can get rid of these old buttons here. And notice how now my buttons are side by side. I want skincare first, so I can put this up there. Now let's see what this looks like on mobile. On mobile, they're still stacking. That's because at the group level here, we have vertical on mobile set to true. Let's set this to false, and now they'll be side by side on mobile. Okay, one thing to note here is that if you're going to use group like this, a tip I have is that you might want to rename these things so that it's easier to track which group is what. So here, these are my buttons. So eventually, if I decide to collapse this, then I know what's inside that group. It's my buttons. All right, so this is starting to look good. I can hit save, and then we'll move on to my products. Going back to the road site, one thing I like here with this section is that it's sort of a carousel, and the product cards are really big. So I'll try to reproduce this with Horizon. Here, I can go into the featured collection section. I see type set to grid. If I set this to carousel, then I'm starting to already reproduce the look of the road carousel. Here there's 4 columns. Let's put this to 3. So already my product cards are bigger. And then my products here have different aspect ratio for their images. So if I click on the media block, then I can set the aspect ratio to portrait or perhaps square. I think square looks good for my product, so I'll stick to that. I think here I don't necessarily need this header, so I can choose to hide it like that. Another thing I could perhaps do is if I wanted my, say, my product titles to be a bit bigger, I can choose a different typography preset for this. This feels a bit big, so I can do like that, or I can go to custom route like this. Sure. Okay, let's see what this looks like on mobile. On mobile also looks great. Cool. One thing I like about this road site is this section right here. I'd love to use a layout like this to introduce my brand a little bit. So I'll go back to my site. I can click add section, and you'll see that Horizon comes with a bunch of section presets in here. So you can go through, you can browse the ones you like, and then I'll find one that looks like the one on the road. Something like this with an image on the left and text on the right. I'll add this editorial section. Cool. Now, first thing I want to do is change this image. I'll use my own, this one. And then I can sort of change the copy here. There's a caption. I can do maybe about us. Here, perhaps I can delete this, use the generate text feature to help me brainstorm something. A catchy title. Uncover the secrets. Cool, let's do this. And then here I could replace this. I'll just use the generate text again. A small blurb about a skincare brand. And maybe it's like playful. Okay, that's cute. And then this button here could be learn more and then link to my About Us page. And perhaps I can use the secondary style button. This looks great. I'm going to save. So overall, my page is starting to look really good. I feel like one thing that's missing is a bit of movement. One thing I like from the pros page here is this marquee section here. And we do have that in Horizon. So I'll go add this. So again, I can hit add section. I think it would look good just above this section and below the products. So I can do this and then select the marquee section. And then from there, I can go and change the copy of this text block. I could change the color scheme. Actually, I think it would look better gray like this. I can change the gap between each text block. So I can change the copy here. Great. And then I could maybe duplicate this block and use another one to say cruelty free. For this one, I want it to be H6. Yeah, I like this. Cool. So now I have like movement on the page. Let's see what this looks like on mobile. Cute. All right. Really good. Now let's move on to the footer. So this is what the footer that comes out of the box with Horizon looks like. Actually, let's refer to the sidebar here to see how it's composed. So I have my footer section as a whole. There's a small divider line at the top. And then we have the email sign up and then footer utilities. If I look at the Rode Skin website, I'm not going to do a huge logo in my footer, but I kind of like how this is shaped. So I have a email sign up on the left and then my menus on the right. So let's try to recreate that look. All right, so the way to do this to make sure that I have my menu on the right and then my email sign up on the left is to have a group in which these items are placed in it, laid out horizontally. So I'll add a group to my footer. And then I'll be adding stuff to that group in a second. Now my email sign up right now itself is a group that contains heading, text, and email sign up. Right now it's set horizontally, but I want these to stack. So I'll actually set this to vertical. So now already we're starting to get closer to our desired look. I'm gonna copy this block inside my group that I've just created and then get rid of the old one. Now, inside that group, now I have my email sign up, but it needs to be followed by my menus. So I can create another group inside that group for my menus. So let me rename this to menus so that we know what we're talking about here. And inside menus, I'll add menu blocks. So I can add my first menu and here replace the menu by my footer menu number 1. And these are more like my browse links. So I'll change this to browse. Now I have 2 other menus to add, so I can duplicate this 2 times. And notice how these menus are being stacked vertically. That's because on my menus group, I need to set this to horizontal. So now these are set to horizontal. And then, so if I want these menus to be aligned horizontally with my email sign up, then I need to go at the group level that contains both of these things and set this to horizontal. So now I'm getting close to what I want. And the one thing that I need to do is change the order here. I want my email sign up to appear before. Great. And then real quick, what I can do here is change these menus for my actual ones. Great. Okay, it's starting to look really good and basically the same layout that I wanted. One thing I can change here is the email input. I find it a bit small. That's because it has a custom width of 50%. So I can maybe update that width a bit so it's a bit bigger. All right, so this is looking good. And then I have at the bottom my footer utilities. And this includes my copyright statement and then my policy links. It also includes my social links. So given I've added my socials to my menu in this case, I can choose to simply hide this one. I don't need it. And then let's see what everything looks like on mobile one last time. Everything is stacking on mobile, which is what I want. I can have a look at what it would look like if it did not stack. Actually, looks good. Given all my links are pretty short here, I can get away with not stacking these on mobile. The one thing I'm noticing is that I still have my divider here that I don't think is needed anymore because I have a background color on the top. What I can do is just get rid of this one right here. Okay, but now I seem to have lost a bit of padding at the top. So what I can do is just at my footer level, add a bit of padding at the top at 30. I think it could actually use a bit more. So let's do 50. Zooming out. This looks really good. Let me hit save. All right, so to recap, in only a few minutes, I was able to drastically change the look and feel of my header, my homepage, and my footer. So going from Horizon out of the box into something that looks a lot more like the story I want to tell with my brand. So stay tuned for other tutorial videos on how to make the most out of Horizon themes. Thanks. Bye.